Hello students, here are the answers to practice test 1. We already did a video from 1 to 14, so I'm going to start with number 15. First, I'm going to show you all of the correct answers for that test. If I can find them here, here we go. So here are all the correct answers. You can pause the video now and check your answers. Alright, let's get a couple explanations. Starting with number 15, a mouse population starts with 2,000 mice. That's the starting value, and it grows at a rate of 5% per year. That's the rate. Normally, you'd be able to create a formula from that, but it gives you the formula here, so you don't have to do anything with that. It asks for the average rate of change, and you should know average rate of change by now. That's a vocabulary term that we've used a bunch of times. Average rate of change just means slope. So whenever it says average rate of change, you're thinking slope. We're looking for the difference between the second year and the 5th year. So we need to find the amount of mice in the second year, the amount of mice in the 5th year, and then find the slope between those 2 points. So the amount of mice in the second year is what happens when you substitute 2 in for x. You get 2,205. In the 5th year, you get 2,552.5613. Now the slope formula is going to be rise over run. We're going to do the change in y, so from 2552 to 2205, divided by the change in x, which is from 5 to 2. So the change in y over the change in x is going to be about 347.56 divided by 3. That's this minus this on the top, and then this minus this on the bottom. We get 115.85, and it does ask us to round to the nearest whole number, so that would be 116. That's our final answer. 7 less than the product of twice a number is greater than 5 more than the same number. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a inequality for that, or an inequality for that. So 7 less than, that part means whatever it is minus 7. The product, that means multiply. Twice a number. So twice a number, that product that they're talking about is 2 times x. 7 less than that is minus 7. Is greater than, so that's the greater than symbol, 5 more than the same number. Well, 5 more than means plus 5 at the end. The same number is x. So 5 more than plus 5. Now, in order to solve this, we solve it just like a normal equation, even though it's an inequality. We're going to get all the x's to one side, so we'll subtract x from both sides. I'm not going to show that intermediate step, but I will. I'll show the work. Stand by here. Next step here is to, as I said, subtract x from both sides. So we get x minus 7 is greater than 5. We're going to move the 7 to the other side, so we'll add 7 to both sides. We'll get x is greater than 12. Now, if you think the answer is 12, you just got this question wrong. Nice work. It says x is greater than 12, right? Which integer satisfies this inequality? 1 is not bigger than 12. 2 is not bigger than 12. 12 is not bigger than 12. 13 is bigger than 12. That's how they get you. A sequence is defined recursively by f1, that is the starting value, is 16. And this kind of tells us a very particular thing. Let me try to run this through with you guys. So it tells us the starting value, and it also tells us that fn, which is any term, so any term is equal to the previous term plus 2 times the term number. That might seem a little confusing, but let me show you a couple of examples of how it works. So if I want to start from any term, that's going to be equal to whatever the previous term was plus 2 times that term number. So for example, if I'm looking for the second term, that's any term is a second term. That's equal to the previous term. Well, if we're starting from the second term, we go to the first term, that's previous, plus 2, that's where the 2 comes from, times the term number. And in this case, we're trying to find term 2, that's the term number. Term 3 is going to be very similar. Term 3, we call that any term. The previous term is term 2, plus 2. 2 is from the formula. And then 3, that's the term number. f of 4 is the same way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill in a couple of the blanks. So we say f of 2 is equal to, we know f of 1, we know the first term, that's 16. And we're adding to it 2 times 2. Well, 16 plus 4 is 20. Now we know f of 2 is equal to 20. Now f of 3, getting a little crazy with my placement here, is equal to f of 2, which is 20, plus 2 times 3. You know 2 times 3 is 6, so 20 plus 6 is 26. Look how fun this is. And then, last but not least, we'll find f of 4. That's equal to f of 3, 26, plus 2 times 4, which is 8. 26 plus 8 is 34, I think. Let's take a look at the answers. Hey, look, 34 is right there. Which statement is true about the accompanying graph? Well, the first part says it's decreasing when x is between -1 and 3. Well, here's -1, and here's 3. It's not decreasing during that whole time. From -1 to 3, it's not just decreasing. It's decreasing and also increasing. So that's definitely not it. Let's see. The second one says it's increasing when x is greater than 1. So here's x is 1. If x is greater than 1, sure looks like it's increasing to me. And it's negative when x is less than 0. Well, when x is less than 0, well, here's x is -1, and it's not negative. Here's x is -2, and it's not negative. So that's not the case. So it's not that one either. It's increasing when x is greater than 1. We've already established that. When x is greater than 1, it's increasing. And it's negative when x is in between -1 and 3. So from -1 to 3, all of those are negative. So that's our answer. Let's just check number 4. It's decreasing. It's decreasing when x is in between -1 and 3. So from here to here, it's not just decreasing. It's also increasing. So that's not it either. Choice number 3 is your answer. For number 19, you're going to skip that. Haha. We don't teach this topic in Common Core Algebra. You would see it in Integrated Algebra. All right, last but not least on this page, what is the equation of the line with a slope of -1/2 that passes through the point 6, -6? Let's use some common sense here. The first thing we're going to do is eliminate all the choices that don't have a slope of -1/2. This has a slope of +1/2. No good. This one has a slope of -2. No good. Look how easy that was. Now I have a 50-50 shot. Whatever I like better, -3 or +3. Well, there's an easy way to figure that out. We're going to write down y equals mx plus b. We're going to put in our slope, and we'll also put in our two values, our x value and our y value. So here's our slope. I converted it to -0.5 because I like decimals. I put in my x and y values. This is my y value, -6 from the point. And this is my x value from the point. Multiplying these two together, I get -3. And it says -6 equals -3 minus 3. Well, according to my knowledge, that is correct. So the correct answer is choice 1. If we had used choice 3, we would have gotten -0.5 times 6 plus 3. That would have been -3 plus 3, and that would have given us 0. -6 is not equal to 0. So that's your correct answer. Alex makes ceramic bowls to sell at a monthly craft fair. I spoke about this in class, but for the purposes of this discussion, let's assume that you weren't in class. Each month, she spends $50 on materials. We're going to underline that part. That's how much she spends. And she also earns $25, including tax, for each bowl. That's the important part. So, one thing that we know, she spends $50. We also know that she sells the bowls for $25 each. Each meaning every bowl is $25. So profit in its most basic form, this is not like a math thing, this is like a life thing. Profit is equal to how much you earn minus how much you spend. And in this case, how much you earn is the $25 per bowl. Anytime you see each something or per hour or something like that, that's going to be the number that's multiplied by the variable. Minus 50, she's spending $50 on materials for all of the bowls, not for each individual bowl. So 25x minus 50, you should observe your correct answer to be choice 4. Which expression is equivalent to x to the fourth minus y to the fourth? This is a factoring question. So in order to factor, we're going to use dots. We know it's dots because there's a minus, which is difference. We know that it's 2 squares because you can square root x to the fourth and you can square root y to the fourth. So we square root x to the fourth and we get x squared. We square root y to the fourth and we get y squared. And we set up dots like this. We put 2 different sets of parentheses. X squared plus y squared, x squared minus y squared. It turns out that this is also an example of dots. X squared plus y squared. I'm sorry, x squared minus y squared, because it's got that difference. We square root the 2 terms again, we get x and y. And we're not able to do dots on the first term because it's a plus. Difference of 2 squares means it has to be a minus or subtract. So now we factored it completely. This part got factored into x plus y, x minus y, and the first polynomial stayed the same. So we look for the correct answer, and oh, look at that. They have the less simplified version, which matches this guy. So if they had this answer, it would also be correct. None of these other answers, though, match any of the stuff that we worked on. This is 2 minuses. This is some kind of nonsense that no one has ever seen before, and likewise with this. Number 23, the Bottlerocket question. I'm going to make a whole video on rocket questions. Bottlerocket was made in science class, has a trajectory of this quadratic equation. We're looking for the turning point. And when it says turning point, that is a vocabulary word. You should remember that turning point is another way of saying vertex. So in order to find the vertex, you do x equals negative b over 2a. That's this piece. Negative 4 from the b value. 2 times negative 1 from the a value. And that simplifies to 2. Now, you could finish this problem, but already you know the x value is 2. So if we go back to see which ones we can eliminate, well, we can eliminate this because it's got the wrong x value. We can eliminate this because it's got the wrong x value. And we can eliminate this because it's got the wrong x value. Look at that. The only one with the correct x value, x equals 2, is choice 2. But how do we know the y value? You plug it in. Oh, it looks like this. And surprising no one, we get 10 as our y value. So 2, 10 is our turning point of the rocket's path. Another way we could sort of think through this problem is saying, well, the rocket didn't implant itself into the ground, and it didn't start at negative 2 seconds, right? So none of these really make sense in the context of the problem. Last but not least, what is the solution to the system of linear equations? We have 2 equations that are not solved for y. Well, it seems to me like you should just probably solve for y. Once you solve these 2 for y, you can put them into your graphing calculator, and once you do that, you can see the answer pretty clearly. So I'll pull out my little graphing calculator here. I go to the y equals menu, and I'm going to say y equals x plus 4. And I'm also going to do y equals negative 2x. That would be plus 1. And we're looking for the solution. That's the point where those 2 intersect. So let's take a look in the graph, see if we can see the point that they intersect. And yeah, heck yeah, we can. It looks like I'm not getting the exact numbers here, but it looks like we go negative 1 and go up 3. So negative 1, 3. Is that a possible solution? Wow. Look at that. Negative 1, 3. We could have proved that by going to the table and finding the point where the y values match. Negative 1, 3 is it. All right, hope this video was helpful. That's the end of the multiple choice. Next video will be on the short answer questions. Try to do the part 2 questions. Have a great day.